I welcome everyone to our interactive webinar with Evonik, Ynvisible, and Epishine. I'm going to be your host, Michael Robinson. I am the CEO of Ynvisible Interactive. We bring the face of the Internet of Things. We bring the Internet of Things to life. We are the face of the Internet of Things. Sorry about that. So I'm going to give it a couple more minutes while people come in. I see that we're up to 92 attendees, so I'm just going to give it 2 more seconds and we'll get started. Thanks for joining us. All right, welcome to our interactive webinar. What we're hoping to do today is help you discover how to disrupt your industry. So thank you again for joining us today. I'm actually joined by 3 panelists, Carolina Josko from Evonik, Matthias Josephson from Epishine, and Tommy Hugland from Ynvisible. But before I get started, I want to do a quick technology check for everyone because this is an interactive webinar. So what I'm going to ask you to do is actually use the chat function of Zoom as well as the polling function. So first, I'm going to ask all of the attendees, can you please type in the chat function your name and what company you're from. I'll give it a second. All right. Cronin. Oh, wow. Okay. Brilliant Matters. Gosh, it's almost coming in too fast. I think everyone's got it. I really appreciate that. Now, we're going to test the polling function. So for everyone who is not finished typing, you're going to get a poll appearing on your screen now. Okay, that's excellent. The polling's going well. Sofia Ferreira from Quantum Leap, Portugal, very good to see you. Mark Goschott from Fraunhofer, very good to see you as well. John Fisk from Amcor, very good to see you. That's excellent, excellent. So I'm going to stop the poll now. It looks like we've got most people from the printed electronic space. That's excellent to see, followed quickly by other. It's really interesting to see where the other is coming from. And then followed by investors, brand owners, and folks joining us from the consumer electronics space. Jordan, good to see you from Duracell. Great, this is excellent. So we all passed. this is always good to get the bugs out of the way. But like I said, this is going to be an interactive webinar. So we're going to be using that polling function to really understand what concepts you like, what you see in terms of unique selling propositions that make sense for you or don't. And we're also going to be using that chat function to get your feedback in real time. And I hope no one's shy. We might be calling on some folks to chat a little bit more, to share more thoughts with us. So again, thank you and welcome. All right, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Carolina Giosko from Evonik to share a little bit more about what Evonik does. Carolina?
I think you're muted, Carolina.
I hope now everybody, good afternoon. Thank you, Tommy. So Carolina Giosio, I am the marketing manager for tattoos, and I'm representing Evonik. Evonik is one of the world leaders in specialty chemicals. We are over 33,000 employees globally. We are present in over 100 countries, and Evonik goes beyond chemistry to create innovative, profitable, and sustainable solutions. For instance, like tattoos technology that we develop at Creavis. Creavis is the strategic innovation unit of Evonik. And with tattoos, we want to enable new applications, and especially with the increasing interconnection of everyday life objects in the Internet of Things. So I already see, thank you very much for the questions that are popping up in the chat. Please keep doing. If you don't mind, I will keep with explaining about our battery concept, and then we will come back to those specific questions later. But as you can see, so we developed a rechargeable battery technology. You can see on the right side, this is one of our real batteries. You can charge this battery with several kinds of energy harvesting, most often with photovoltaics, radio frequency, and others. We developed this technology based on conductive polymers. And these polymers have a particular thing, and it is that when you print this battery, this is not charged. And so this allows for the safe storage and transportation after printing. And then because it is rechargeable, then it enables a long cycle life, leading to low operating costs. So these kinds of batteries that you also find in our technology demonstrator we are discussing today, you can use it once or hundreds of times, and recharge, reuse over hundreds of times.
Thank you, Carolina. So, you know, we know typical batteries, but when it comes to the Evonik battery, it's printed, it's thin, it's flexible. When we use the term energy independence, what does that mean? What does Evonik really bring to energy independence, or that idea of energy independence?
Well, you know, I was preparing for that question, and I found so many political issues related to the energy independence. But we are focusing on the IoT and providing energy independence to IoT devices, big packaging, clothing, any physical spaces where we want to make life more pleasant, safer, and healthier through all these smart objects that are connecting. And so for the connection, the objects need energy. And that's why energy autonomy and independence becomes relevant, because we want to have reliable data and no missing information 24/7. And so deploying complex cable networks can be cumbersome and also costly. And when we think of battery-less solutions, which are also available, they may have limited fields of applications. And so that's why we thought this fully polymer organic rechargeable battery could be of interest for the future of the IoT devices.
Beautiful. Thank you, Carolina. We're going to move on to the next introduction, and that is Matthias Josephson at Epishine. Matthias, tell us a bit about Epishine. We're all familiar generally with solar panels, but how does Epishine's technology go beyond that?
So Epishine's solar cell is a printed organic solar cell, very different from how solar cells normally looks like. We are based on many years of research. Our city in Sweden, Linköping, is one of the leading places in organic electronics. After many years, this is a spin out where we think that, or actually where this technology are ready to in different products change how we do electronics. And with organic, we mean that it's based on Mother Nature's own building blocks, hydrocarbons. So it's a very sustainable product. It is ultra thin, flexible, and optimal for material integration, to become the smart surface of different things. Since it is printed, it's very great freedom when it comes to form factor. And on top of that, we have industry-leading performance at indoor low light conditions. So this demonstrator we have made and a lot of other different products is a great opportunity for this first product from Epishine.
Excellent. So really another form of energy independence here in being able to be in all spaces, not just in the sun, but also in ambient conditions, right?
Absolutely. So normally low energy lamps and ambient light is fully perfect to power a lot of small electronics, since we are doing things very energy efficient today in this connected world.
Excellent. Thank you, Matthias. Next, and last but certainly not least, from Ynvisible, our own Tommy Höglund. Tommy, what is Ynvisible? And you don't have to take my word for it, so I'll turn it over to Tommy. But Ynvisible's displays are printed. So we've been talking about these thin, flexible printed technologies that give us energy independence. What makes Ynvisible's technology so unique, especially in this printed electronic space?
I would start from the beginning actually and say that Ynvisible have been driven by their mission always, and that is to bring everyday objects and surfaces to life and to benefit people in a smart and connected world. And this is as an alternative to power-hungry displays in smart objects. So we at Ynvisible offers a display that is ultra low power, that is thin, flexible, and enables a more relaxed and natural product user experience, I would say. And we do this by using the advantages of the printing process and the printed electronics, you could say, to have a really cost-effective production and reach high volumes. And this also enables, since we're talking here about energy, together with Epishine and Evonik, the low power consumption of the Ynvisible display also allows like a total lower total system cost, but also then a lower ecological footprint, I would say. So I would say that Ynvisible is part of solutions for all printed electronics and also hybrid electronics by enabling a visual interface for end users and as well as professional users.
Beautiful. Thank you, Tommy. As we're talking about this this space of Internet of Things. As I said in the introduction, we are the face of the Internet of Things, and that really does take this consortia of technologies to come together to deliver that kind of benefit.
Definitely. And we see that from the requests that are coming in today, that the Internet of Things is a really strong driving force, even though you think that it has been ongoing and something that everybody talks about since many years, but it's still a very strong driving force for all printed electronics, I should say, and definitely for Ynvisible's electrochromic display technology, since we can integrate it and connect it to the Internet of Things.
Perfect. Thank you, Tommy. Okay, so we've got batteries, we've got ambient solar cells, and we've got displays. But before we show you how that all comes together into concepts, we are getting some questions from the audience. So I just wanted to, maybe there's a couple of questions here that sound good. I apologize. I'm going to go back here. People are really using this quite well. Did we have a question about, I apologize, give me 1 second. Okay, well, we won't go to questions in the panel. I'll just keep it going. So we're going to dive into the real fun part of the presentation, and those are the concepts. The first concept we're going to go over is energy independent retail. That's really where our joint demonstrator together really centered on, is how can we demonstrate how our technologies can untether our customers from the retail shelf or from power sources, normal DC, AC power sources. The second, AC power sources. The second is powered packaging and smart cards. So how can our technologies help deliver packaging solutions that may range from cold chain, and card solutions that may be everything from personal to institutional. The next is the last is space safety and modular monitoring. So in these COVID times, in these times when it's really important to understand the safety of our spaces and places, how can our technologies help deliver that? Last but not least, if you're interested in what you see here, you haven't been able to ask a question, or maybe you want to dive into more information with us, we invite you to connect. You can download our presentation at www.ynvisible, that's with a Y, ynvisibl.com/YEE. We'll be able to get in touch with you immediately, collaborate with you. Also, if you want to take some of these ideas, these starting ideas, further for your business. And we have some prizes for some of our listeners. So we will be sharing a little bit more of that at the end of the presentation. So, all right, let's get started. So the first concept is really built around energy independent retail. So I'm going to share with you our concept again. Oops. Oops, sorry about that. Technical glitch. Excellent. So the concept here is a thin, flexible, power and energy independent shelf display, or what we call a shelf wobbler or violator. And I'm going to turn to my panelists to describe how these technologies come together, the individual components. Carolina, we're working with the printed battery technology that you described a little bit earlier. Could you tell us a little bit more about that technology and how it supports this application?
So our technology, as I said, is based on organic conductive polymers, which are water-based formulated. So we have a set of anode, cathode, and electrolyte. The electrolyte, for instance, can be also utilized for other applications or vice versa, like we did with other demonstrators. And essentially, this technology was developed for screen printing, and it allows for these super thin battery cells. So we can get this very thin, flat, also lightweight device.
Beautiful. Thank you. The power cell, the printed batteries, about how much energy does a printed battery generate?
Well, this is a question that it's always challenging to answer because we have a tailor-made solution. So it will depend on each of the cases. But let's say you can have, like we made 1.3 volt batteries, and these are stackable, or you can say tailor this shape. And then you can gain in the range of 1 to 5 milliampere hours of peak current.
Thank you, Carolina. Matthias, I'm going to turn over to you. We've integrated the Epishine solar cells here. Tell us a little bit more about that technology and how it complements the system of a printed battery and display.
Yeah, so it's I said, as you see, a printed solar cell, so it's very thin and flexible and interesting to combine with other thin and flexible printed components. I really like this demonstrator. It's a new thing, and we are, as you might see in the movie, we are printing a number of lines beside each other, and then they are in a serial connection, and each line is a cell. So by making that way, we can configure different voltages for different needs. And I have a question in the chat about efficiency on the solar cell. This solar cell is optimized for indoor low light conditions, and it's very different to do something for sunlight and for the ambient light indoors. But in an office, you would have between 15 to 20 microwatt per square centimeter, and in a superstore it would be about the double, like 30 to 40 microwatt per square centimeter, and that is yeah. To give a very easy example on what you could power with this kind of solar cells. So with one of those in the picture, you normally could make the power solution for a device that today are powered with small normal batteries and that last for a year or more, just to give some kind of comparison.
Excellent. Thank you, Matthias. Thank you. So the third part of this is this beautiful display. I'm a little biased again, I apologize. This thin, flexible, ultra low power electrochromic display. Tommy, can you help describe how this technology kind of comes together to bring this to life?
Sure, and I would say already had this question in the chat, and what is nice with the Ynvisible display is that it's very easy to integrate with all kinds of power sources. And since it's a really a low power display that can be used even below 1.5 volts, and that we don't need that much of an energy to turn it on or even also to turn it off. So it's very easy to integrate with any electronics, I would say, and then with a lot of a huge variety of power sources. And in this nice demonstrator that we see here, I really like it because we have both the organic photovoltaics that is harvesting the energy, but then also that it's a rechargeable battery that can power the display many, many times. And with this solution, it never needs to run out of power. So it's, I would say that our display is a perfect visual interface in this technical solution to engage and interact with customers.
Thank you, Tommy. Yeah, this is a great solution. But it doesn't stop here, right? This form factor can scale, which is great. We're using printed technologies, and kind of what we want to show you as well is how those ideas can scale larger and also slightly smaller. So here we have a kind of visual of almost a signage, a dynamic signage that can be placed on the floor of a retail space to help guide customers. It's something that's brandable, that can be printed as we're working with printed technologies. It can offer something like dynamic wayfinding, where you may have messaging or messages that shift depending on certain promotions, or if it's there are RFID type tie-ins or things like that, you might be able to push some dynamism there. It's scalable to shops, exhibits, public buildings. I mean, where you have a solid space or surface, this is something that could be applied, and it's robust. So again, these are technologies, we're working with technologies that are super robust, super durable, and can survive normal conditions. Carolina, Matthias, Tommy, anything that you wanted to add here as well?
Oh, well, I must say, I'm answering the chat questions, and thank you very much for all the questions you are posting. So I lost track on the comment I have to make on what we are doing now. Sorry
No problem at all. No problem at all. So you know what we'll do? Perfect. And thank you for our moderators. The Q&A function we'll have right at the end of this part of the presentation. That scalability can also go small, so item level indication in the retail space. So this can enable solutions that may be reusable, may support more showrooming engagement. This is a trend in the retail space, especially with the availability of Amazon and Etsy, etc., being able to find more information online. Why not be able to help consumers also with that engagement through NFC interoperability as well? And then you've got that also energy harvesting potential if you have RFID systems built into the retail space. So with that, I think everyone's anxious to get in some good Q&A. So I'm going to give it a couple seconds. Maybe we want to pick some of the Q&A from the chat. If Carolina, Matthias, Tommy, I apologize. I've been running the slides here, so I didn't get a chance to see all of the Q&A. But let's see. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes. So there is a question about if we need the power management ICs as well, and they could be used to optimize the behavior of this kind of electronics. But as far as I know, to handle both the solar cell and the battery, it could be used, not optimized the same way, but with very easy electronic components. So it's not the must-have.
Absolutely.
And there is another question, whether these technologies are also suitable for outdoor deployment. And I have to say, I don't see a reason why it wouldn't be.
Tommy, we have one question for you. How thin can the individual deployment display be? For example, how small could a 7-digit with invisible screens be?
I mean, the smallest size for a display segment, I would say, is 1 millimeter. But for a 7 segment display, then we also have the design rules there that says that we need some space between each segment. So I would say maybe at least 7 or 8 millimeters, perhaps a bit more, but it's a bit of a design question as well. How you would like your 7 segment display to look like, so it could be interpreted very good by the end user, so to say. So let's have a look on that one and see what we can achieve.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to the poll. We're getting a lot of great questions. I'm going to turn it over to the poll. Maestro, if you don't mind releasing the hounds. So we have a poll out right now that should pop up. Perfect. Excellent. Which concept do you prefer? And would a product similar to any of these concepts be useful in your company or industry? All right. Wow. Great, almost in. We're almost halfway there. This is beautiful because you get to see the polling is dynamic, so you can see the information as it rolls in. Beautiful.
Michael, maybe I can point out a question while we give people some time for filling in the poll. We have one here, whether all 3 components are recyclable. And I think this is a very interesting question with a lot of sides, but I would like to point out for Tattoos batteries, from the perspective of the chemistry, these are components that can be recycled, let's say, with common garbage. Of course, if it comes to regulations, then different countries may consider it an electronic device, and then this may fall into another category. So I interrupted your poll, but maybe now you have an answer.
Beautiful. All right, so we're going to close the polling. It looks like the concepts that are preferred here is the item level price tag. And would the product similar to any of these concepts be useful for your company or industry? Yes. Anyone want to shout out there who voted for item level price tags and if it would be useful? Is there a preferred operating environment for the, okay. Bennett, a great question there. Is there a preferred operating environment? Again, this durable printed materials. Tommy, maybe you could speak to our displays.
Yeah, I would say that our displays, they function really well up to around 80 degrees Celsius, and we have just recently made some tests and find out that they also could operate under even hotter than that, and up to 85 degrees Celsius for 24 hours. So but anything below that, I would say, is fine. And we have also conducted tests where we have our displays functioning in down to minus 30 degrees Celsius. Sometimes when it's really cold, you could see also that the display is a bit slower, that could say, but otherwise, like in normal room conditions, it's functioning really, really well, and in between there. So, and right now, as we speak here, we at Ynvisible have ongoing qualification tests for our display to qualify it even further. So, yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, Tommy. All right, we're going to move right on to the next set of concepts here. And this is around powered packaging and smart cards. So really, this is about the opportunity to deliver an adhesive label, again, scaling, right? Scalable solutions, an adhesive label solution with sensor integration, as well as a smart card solution that is thin and flexible, it's robust, it's disposable, and Carolina, I think you spoke to that disposability, and allows for better battery life than traditional technologies. Matthias, if you don't mind, can you walk us through a couple of these concepts and how Epishine helps bring these ideas to life?
Yeah, so why should you, what new application areas opens up when you have thin and flexible and printed components together? Of course, thin and flexible things is something you couldn't do the same way before. So one example is like a sticker that could be some different things. In this example, it's a connected temperature sensor. Could be used on as on the picture here on some packages. It could be used on a construction site to have central information about the temperature everywhere. It could be used in agriculture to measure silage or something out on the fields. So it's extremely easy to deploy. Just put it up, and you can have hundreds or thousands of them in a small box, and just bring with you and deploy. The other thing here is also thin, and I think that we have components that are good for the plastics industry. So to survive the assembly or the lamination processes of things like these kind of smart cards and things like that, we have good components for that. And I know that there have been some trials with smart cards where you have both the credit card and also the security system to get the PIN codes for banking systems and so on. And the problem is the life length of the batteries. So do the same way with a self-recharging solution that lives much longer is one interesting concept that we opens up with these thin components.
Beautiful.
Completely agree there, Matthias.
Yeah.
And just to jump onto this and seeing this temperature example here, temperature indicators, temperature loggers is something that we at Ynvisible have run into many times, and we just launched a solution together with Spotsy the other week here with a temperature threshold indicator with our display technology to give a clear visual indication if a threshold have been breached or not. So that's definitely an area where you can make use of the solutions that we offer here together with energy harvesting and energy storage and the display as a visual interface, I would say.
And I think that this the size on the sticker on this box is way too large. It could be much smaller. Just for this is a montage.
Yeah.
Great. And we're already getting great questions in. Tommy, Matthias, thank you so much. One question from Honora. Hello, what is the consumption of the display and how much capacity is needed for the battery? What is the supply voltage of the PV cells? So Tommy, maybe we talk to our display. Carolina, Matthias, if you could talk to that.
For the display, I think to make a switch, we say 1 millijoule per square centimeter is needed. But then when it's turned on and it's in a static mode, I would say 1 microwatt per square centimeter is needed. But it's also like our display, it has like a memory effect. So we call it that it's semi-bystable. So when you have turned it on, you would only need a small refresh pulse to keep it on. And now with our latest development, it could be hours between the refresh pulses to actually keep it on. So it's almost a bistable display, I would say. So it's very, very energy efficient.
And regarding the voltage from the solar cells, it's customizable. So the number of lines depends the voltage out from the solar cell. So it could be between like 1 and, I don't know, 10, 15 voltage, depending on how wide it is and how many lines you make in the layout.
So for the battery as well, we are dependent on the specific layouts and design. So we can, for instance, have a voltage of 1 to 1.3 per cell. And when we look at the capacity, depending on the specific design also, but the materials will allow up to 0.3 milliamp per hour per square centimeter.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tommy, Matthias, and Carolina. I'm going to launch the poll now. This is out. Perfect. What concept do you prefer, the connected temperature stickers or smart card? Would a product similar to any of these concepts be useful for you? And yes, I do wish I could share the live polling progress. It's actually quite cool. Perfect. We're almost halfway there. So it looks like we've got a winner. I'm going to put the polling there. Share results. Oops. Sharing results. It looks like connected temperature stickers came forward, and with some modifications and improvements. So anyone from the audience, if you could, share with us some of the modifications and improvements. I saw one concern that cost may be an issue for a sticker on every package, right? Temperature accuracy is of utmost importance. Tommy, I don't know do you want to speak to any of those questions that we had?
I can just start with one here. Sorry, I was writing in the chat at the same time, and I'm not too good at doing two things at the same time here. But if you say temperature accuracy, then what we have done in the cases where we have been involved with the display, it have been a thermistor that we have used, like in ordinary electronic components, and the product we launched with Spotsy the other week here, it shows a temperature accuracy of 0.5 degrees, what we promise in the product card anyway, and that is accurate enough, I would say, for many applications. But I would say that it's even more accurate, but then it's also what you promise. So I would say from a display perspective, it's the accuracy is not determined by the display, rather by what thermistor and sensor, so to say, that you use. Yes.
Beautiful.
A comment on prices. I think that to make this happen, it need to be printed electronics, and I don't know if it's the same for all of the suppliers in this meeting. For the solar cells, the price for solar cells that should live for 10-20 years are much higher than solar cells that should last for a year or something like that. So there's this kind of packaging solutions, I think will be an interesting price situation as well.
And I could just build on to that, Matthias, and say that from our perspective at Ynvisible, it's also that it's very often a high volume application where we can really make use of the advantages of the printing process and have a cost-effective production process to match that as well. So absolutely, that's one of the strengths and advantages with our technologies.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, so we're going to move on to the third and the last set of concepts here. These are actually some of my favorite because I'm excited to get out of the house office and into the real office. But this is really around space safety and modular monitoring. So as the world is turning back on, we are looking to keep our employees, the people that share our spaces, safe. I don't know if anyone's seen the news lately, but China, a building in China has started deploying a color-coded system on their buildings, a signage system that actually registers the relative COVID safety of the people inside of the office. So these indication systems are definitely important for everyone's safety. In this case, we're looking at almost a self-powered counting system. So the ability to count the number of people entering and leaving with direct readability. So this would be a system that is somewhat modular in its deployment. You would have what seems like a label or two labels with very low installation overhead. Now, this is very different from laser systems or other systems that are counters for people entering stores. Matthias, tell us a little bit about the Epishine technology and how that actually helps enable some of that counting functionality.
Yeah, so I think in this kind of application, our components is interesting both as the energy harvester to create the power and also to be used as sensor. We have a very well defined and linear relation between light and power. So by measuring the power, we will detect all kinds of very small changes in the room. So some smart electronics together with our solar cell can be used to sense motions, count people, etc.
Excellent. Excellent. Having a counter actually readily available there could be important as well. And I think that's where the Ynvisible technology excels. If we're to deploy, these in different spaces, different places, the ability to make them modular, make them printed goes a long way to supporting that functionality. It sounds like, David, it sounds like that counter system can be used for many of your clients as well. Sounds good. We're going to give you a chance to chime in here in 2 seconds. This is also scalable, scalable to much larger sizes or other types of signage that are brandable, again, dynamic in that when integrated with sensing systems like the solar cell or even other sensing systems, it can be something that can help monitor occupancy or other things. And again, it's energy independent. So I'm going to turn this over to Q&A. I'm going to launch our polling really quickly. Which concept do you prefer, and would a product similar to any of these be useful in your company or industry? Excellent. Matthias, tell us a little bit more. I'm really fascinated about the science of, those minute light changes and how they can help help register, it can be a sensor in and of itself. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Since we have this linear relation between the power out from the solar cell and the available light, we actually could by that build smart recognize patterns, or actually we are not doing that. Other smart people are doing that are building the electronics. But there's a lot of information that you could get out from see how the light is changing in the room.
Cool. All right. So I'm gonna end this polling. Perfect. And share it with everyone. It looks like the self-powered counting system, wow, is really coming through, and it would be useful for the company or industry. Does David ask, the counter system would be used for many of our clients, both for COVID and other tracking. We could really use both. Great. Any questions about this and in deploying this that maybe we can help answer?
Michael, maybe I can give a comment just before we leave this. And looking at the signage here that we have as a concept, I think one important aspect also is that you can easily combine the printed electronics with traditional graphical print as well and there is an ability to make something that is really appealing and beautiful as well, and using design in combination with our hardware technology, so to say. So I think this is also one of the benefits I would like to lift up here, and that it's possible to integrate our technologies together with ordinary graphical designs as well to make something that is looking good.
Yeah, and those branded designs or on-brand designs are really important for retailers, brand owners. I read one interesting statistic that, with the change in the retail space, especially larger stores like Kohl's, department stores, they're actually shifting to more of a consignment model. So what you have is brands basically renting small spaces, more and more brands renting small spaces within the shops. And those spaces are changing on a more regular basis now. And what those brands are looking for is a way to obviously bring their message to their shoppers. And I could imagine, these energy independence really plays a big role in helping deploy those types of solutions and make them modular, easy to use, and exactly as you said, Tommy, branded or on brand and engaging for customers.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Great. Well, this actually about wraps it up for our webinar. Did we maybe didn't field any questions? Maybe some last parting thoughts from our panelists?
I have an open question here. It seems to me that we also have a lot of questions in the Q&A that we might have not yet answered. And will this be open when we close down the webinar, but that we still can type in our answers in the Q&A, because I think at least myself have used the chat mostly for answering questions.
So this is going to close, but you know what? I think we have for the webinar respondents, maybe we can find a way to get to those big juicy questions, because I think there were some really good ones in there, exactly as you said, Tommy. Anything that you want to call out right now that you're thinking, or?
No, I just saw that there were plenty of questions.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. So we'll find a way to do that. There are great overlapping questions. And again, please, if you see things that are interesting, or someone who you'd like to share this information with in your organization or a colleague, please go to our website, ynvisible.com/YEE, download the presentation. And I did promise that we would have some gifts. We are giving away our display kits to some of our lucky respondents. So go in, download the presentation, let's get engaged. We really want to move these ideas forward to help disrupt your industry. On behalf of Evonik, Ynvisible, and Epishine, danke, thank you, tak. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We look forward to engaging with you.